Welcome to Live from Dennis's house. Today we got a special show. We are going to be speaking to Edgar Winter, the legendary Edgar Winter, as part of our summer one-on-one series. But as you can see, it's more like 72 on one. But anyway, we got Edgar Winter's one of my favorites. Him and Johnny. I was a huge fan of those guys. I saw them many times in concert. And as I'm going to mention to Edgar, my life-defining moment when I saw him on the Midnight Special. I was weeping like a baby when I saw him doing Frankenstein. Like, he has so many great songs. Frankenstein, Free Ride.
Free Ride,
Keep
great
playing
summer
that,
song.
yeah, right? Keep playing that rock and roll. And he played with everybody. And look at this.
So cool.
People on TV, you can see this. Look how cool he was with this long white hair. And then in the back, look at those outfits that they're all wearing. Silk and velvet. And
pink velvet.
Whoa, look at all this stuff. So he started playing with Johnny. He played at the Woodstock. Then he had Edgar Winter White Trash. I love that. That was one of the best names for a band too. And then he went to Edgar Winter Group, and of course the greatest instrumental of all time. What's the name of it? Frankenstein. Yes, let's all do it. Ready? Right. So all right. So without further ado, we are now going to talk to Edgar Winter on the telephone.
Hello.
Hey, is this Edgar Winter?
Yes, it is.
Hey, Edgar. Great to talk to you.
This is Dennis.
This is Dennis.
Yeah, sorry
yes.
about the confusion. I knew that we had the interview scheduled, and a guy called up that I hadn't that I had recorded with, 10 or 15 years ago, and he was telling me everything that had happened to him since, and I got so enthralled in the conversation, and I said, oh, somebody's trying to call me, but I'll call them back.
Yeah,
and
there you go.
I forgot about the interview. So then I tried to call back the callback number, the 732, and it said this person is not accepting calls.
Wow. Yeah.
That's what your number said.
I was on the other line with Paul McCartney, so
that makes complete sense.
But I hung up when I heard it was you. So it was great talking to you.
I'm ready to go when you are.
Yeah, all right, let's just do it now. So, all right, on the phone now is the great, the legendary Edgar Winter. And Edgar, you are currently on tour, and there's a couple shows I see very interesting to me. June 18th, Sioux City, Iowa, you're going to be playing with Cheap Trick.
Yes.
That sounds like something.
I'm always on tour. I'm always ready to rock and roll.
So did you ever play with those guys before?
No, as a matter of fact. It's the first, I'm sure I probably have in multi-act festivals and so forth.
Right.
But not where I've actually been able to see their show and maybe get to talk and so forth. So it should be fun.
So now, thinking of that, they just got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Are you in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
I am not.
That is an outrage.
Outrageous.
Well, I maybe one day.
Yeah. If anyone belongs in there, it's you. So now, September 5th, you're going to be in Sausalito, California with Todd Rundgren and the Zombies.
I'm really looking forward to that show.
Yes.
Because Todd, I knew when I moved from Texas to New York. Todd was one of the guys that I did some records with. I played on Initiation, on the Meatloaf "Bat Out of Hell" record that Todd produced.
We are going to be seeing you on July 20th. You're going to be with the Animals at the Count Basie Theater in Red Bank, New Jersey.
Okay.
Yes.
That sounds like another fun experience.
Looks like you're going to have an awesome summer.
Yeah. And I still love playing. You'll never hear Edgar Winter talking about a farewell. I'm in it to the end. Of the old blues, the old blues man mentality. When I get up into my 70s and 80s, I'm gonna play as long as I can get up there and do something. I'll be doing it.
Awesome. Yeah, so we can't wait. We actually saw you in San Diego. It must have been like 25 years ago, playing with Eric Burdon and the Animals as well. So that's something.
That is something.
Great show.
Something. I just did a show with this past weekend with Eric.
Yeah.
And I knew some of the guys in his past band, but now it's all new.
So now let me talk a little about your life here. That you were born in Texas. You're a child prodigy, they say, and you can play many different instruments, singing.
I've been described as that. I don't know how much truth there is in that, but I did start. My brother Johnny and I, when I was 4 years old, we started playing ukuleles and singing Everly Brothers songs.
Awesome.
Then Johnny graduated to guitar, and it became apparent he was going to be the guitar player. And I said, well, I'll just play everything else. I played electric bass for a while, and then I played drums in the band for a while, and then electric pianos came out, and I said, oh, great. And I don't have to beat my fingers bloody on these old upright pianos anymore. Then I discovered jazz in my teens, and that was sort of a parting of the ways between Johnny and myself. When I started playing saxophone, I don't want a sax in the band. Okay, I'll get my own band. So did that for a while, and then all of the people like Otis Redding and Wilson Pickett, all of these R&B bands had horns. So then horns were okay again. So then we started back playing together. So,
cool. Now, there's one question I wanted to ask, though. Is there any, hidden recordings, in a vault somewhere of, you and Johnny when you're, 10 years old playing in the house?
Well, I don't think there are any. No. The short answer to that is no. But there are a lot of the bootleg albums have songs that we recorded in various studios when we were that age.
One thing that I was very impressed with your career is your broad musical horizons. Like you said, you love all these different types of music, and you've played all these different types of music. You're like one of those guys who just goes from different item to different item: blues, rock, country, jazz, classical, all of that stuff. So tell us a little bit how that came about.
Well, to me, it's all music, and I had never been able to understand why people who love classical can't appreciate rock, or why people who love country can't dig jazz. And to me, they're all equally valid and relevant, beautiful forms of music. And to me, I think all of that started mainly with record companies that want to target a specific audience, and record companies they are very concerned with labels and what they want you to be, either a rock guy or a blues guy or a jazz guy, whatever it is.
Right.
They feel like they can determine how to market you, and I've always flown in the face of all of that, and I just said, well, I don't care what I just want to play whatever at the time is, and I still feel this way. I think if you follow your heart and play what you love, that's the best you can do.
Absolutely.
rather than trying to second guess an audience or attempting to be commercial. I just I don't. I'm not interested. I just want to play. I don't care if it's Madison Square Garden or the club down the street.
Absolutely.
Be out there playing.
So now, on that vein, one thing I was always curious about is how did you convince the record company to let you put out Frankenstein, which became the #1 hit in the U.S., the only probably instrumental of all time, biggest selling instrumental. How did they take that when you said, I want to put this out as a single, or how did that come about?
Well, it never was put out as a single. First of all, if you haven't heard the story, I'll tell you the story of Frankenstein.
Sure, we'd love to hear the story.
It was all happenstantial, really. I wrote the main theme to that song years before it was recorded, and this is when I was playing with my brother Johnny, and it was before I had recorded anything, and nobody even knew Johnny had a brother. And he was playing with the blues trio, and he invited me up to New York to play on his first few records, on First Winter and Second Winter, which actually were done in Nashville, but he was living in New York at the time. So I was like a special guest. He asked if I would play on some of those shows, and I said, well, sure, that'd be fun. So he'd do the first part of the set with his blues trio and say, I'm going to bring on my little brother Edgar. And walk on. Oh, there's two of them. It was like, it was kind of crazy. And I thought, well, I need something to sort of showcase myself. So I wrote this riff, and I said, oh, it's kind of bluesy, and it's a good walk on. And so I played Hammond D3 and played alto sax, and then we had two sets of drums on stage, and I played a dual drum solo with Johnny's drummer, Red Turner, and we called it the double drum song. So that was the first, that riff, that later became Frankenstein, was written probably back in '68, something like that. But we played that. We played it all over the world. I played it at Woodstock. We played it at Albert Hall, and promptly forgot about it. Just because that song was so much fun to play, and we played it live. A lot of times we'd come in and warm up with that. So we just happened to have 2 or 3 versions, like 15, 20-minute long jam of that instrumental. And then toward the end of the project, Rick Derringer said, well, maybe we could edit that into something that, usable, And, well, that's kind of a crazy idea, but I love crazy ideas. So it was just a great excuse to just get even more blasted than usual and come in and have a big end of the project party. So back in those days, the only way to edit something was to physically cut the master tape with a razor. Cut it and put it back together with splicing tape. So we had it all dissected, lying spread out all over the control room, draped over the backs of chairs and on the console. And well, here's the main body here. This is the head. So like in jazz, the main theme is referred to as the head. And we were like just kind of making fun of this thing. How are we going to put it back together? And Chuck Ruff, the drummer, mumble the immortal words, wow, man, it's like Frankenstein. Of an arm here and a leg there and pasting the thing back together. So the monster was born. And that's the story. Awesome. As far as getting the record company to put it out, it was like I think maybe the 3rd or 4th single, maybe hanging around or something. It was a B-side. So we never intended even to put it on the album, much less release it as a single. So it was just the B-side, and one of the FM college, radio station just started, playing it. Just this weird underground, FM college underground station, and somehow other stations picked up on it, and it just spread, became a real kind of grassroots movement, and then all the big radio stations were requesting a shorter version of it. So there you have it, and it's a perfect example of what I was saying. Just that if you, if if you disregard all of those other considerations and just play stuff that you really like, that's a lot of times is going to be the thing that will communicate. So we had released Free Ride as a single, and it went nowhere. And we were ready to give up on the album because it had been out for 4 or 5 months and had 2 or 3 singles released, and then all of a sudden, then Frankenstein just took off, became a huge #1 hit. Then we re-released Free Ride, and it was a big hit. So go figure.
There you go. It's a magical story. See, now, I just want to let you know that was a defining moment in my life. I must have been like 9, and I saw you doing that Frankenstein on Midnight Special, and it was just crazy. You were playing the synthesizer, the drums, the sax, and you had this cool red fringe thing on with the long hair, and I was like, this is the coolest guy I've ever seen in my life. And I told my parents I'm dropping out.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it was quite amazing. So now I want to talk a little bit about more recent stuff here. That a few years back you had a great CD called Rebel Road, and Slash was on that. Tell us a little about your memories of playing with Slash.
Well, I met Slash on there was a New Millennium celebration at the White House, and it was like one of those amazing. There were like everybody from Sophia Loren to Muhammad Ali, the huge Quincy Jones 100-piece orchestra and gospel choir, and then there was a band. Like an all-star rock band, and John Fogerty was in that, and Slash, and myself, and I can't remember who else was in it. So, we were hanging out in the White House after the thing. Slash with his top hat, and kind of got to know one another and talked about stuff. And when I wrote Rebel Road, I thought, well, I said, who's more on the Rebel Road than Slash? He's the perfect guy. And I hadn't even seen him. It had been like 5 or 6 years or something, But so I called him up and said, hey, you want to play on this thing? And he said, yeah, sure. So he came in, he killed it. It was great.
Yes. So now, what I'm shocked about is that they actually let Slash into the White House. That's what I'm very shocked about.
Yeah, he infiltrated. He snuck in. There was some weird scandal that was supposed to have happened. I don't think I'll get into that.
All right. We'll call you back in 10 years when the statute of limitations is up.
It's actually a pretty good story, but I'll save that one for another time.
Okay.
But yeah, we had a lot of fun terrorizing everybody in the White House.
Nice. Now, you mentioned before that you played Woodstock with your brother Johnny. So now that has to be some awesome story there. What do you remember about that event?
Changed my life. I date the beginning of my career from Woodstock, because up to that point, I was not really that interested in pop music, in rock and roll. I was more of I love jazz and classical, and I considered myself a serious musician. Thankfully, I've gotten over that. But at that time, I didn't think of myself as a singer. I thought of like I was an instrumentalist, and so when we played Woodstock, the whole thing was set against the social backdrop, civil rights, peace movement, and there were people that were writing and singing songs that they really believed in. Music meant something back then, and when I saw Woodstock, I was one of those moments that I was just on that stage and looking out over this endless sea of humanity, and said, wow, this is just hundreds of thousands of people. I said, I'll never forget this. This is going to be indelibly engraved in my memory. And when I saw how music had the power to bring people together in that unique way, it just changed my whole thinking about music, from being my own personal thing to being something that could really transcend boundaries, that could reach out and bring people together. And from that point, I said, well, now then I got interested in the whole thing, in being a writer, being an artist, and what pop music was all about.
I want to change the subject here for a second. I found something very interesting, that you've been married for over 30 some odd years to the same woman. Is this true?
37 years.
Oh, my goodness. Let's hear it, Fred. Yeah.
Hey, not bad for rock and rollers, or people in California, for that matter.
Right. That's crazy. But you must be weird out in California.
Well, Monique is my inspiration. It keeps me grounded, and when we met, that certainly changed my life, and I don't think I would be here were it not for her. And we get remarried every year, as a matter of fact. Not necessarily in a formal ceremony, but we exchange our vows every year and try to find a new, unusual. We've been married in Moscow and in Paris and last Canada. Maui was last time. I really feel that music is certainly an important part of my life, but my relationship with Monique is the most important thing for me. And I've been writing a lot of poetry lately. One of the things I like to do on the road is, Monique is not there, I'll write her a poem. And I was going back through all of these emails and saying, wow, I've got hundreds of these. And she was so touched by them. She said, well, you ought to. It started out as a lot of song lyrics that I never got around to using. So I was going to call it The Songs That Never Were. But I'm going to dedicate that to Monique and put out that poetry book. That's one thing great. I've been doing. I have a Broadway sort of a musical comedy version of Frankenstein that I'm working on, called Frankenstein. And Doc Stein is like a posh Park Avenue plastic surgeon who caters to the rich and famous.
Wow,
and
I'd love to see that.
The monster creation is Frankie. So I thought I'd call it Frankenstein. That way you don't have the Frankenstein trademark.
Right. So, wow, it sounds like you're busy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so I'm doing that. And then I like to do a group album. I love my band, the Edgar Winter Band, which I will mention.
Yes, absolutely.
I think Doug Rappaport on the lead guitar, Coco Powell on the bass, and Jason Carpenter on drums. Eventually I'll do an Edgar Winter Band EWP record. So, that could be the next one,
Awesome. We're looking forward to all that stuff, and we're looking forward to seeing you July 20th at Red Bank, New Jersey.
So what area are you in? Are you going to be coming?
Yeah, we're in the New York, New Jersey area. So
okay.
I'll be covering that show that night. I'll be taking photos, and so... All
right, Dennis, well, be sure and stop by and say hello if you want to do a picture before the show rather than after.
Okay, we'll do a selfie.
Hot and sweaty afterwards.
Yes.
Before is good.
Will Monique be coming with you?
I'm not sure at this point. I don't know.
Okay.
But before we go, I do want to take this opportunity to thank all my fans for having followed my career as well as that of my brother Johnny throughout all of these years. And most of you know Johnny passed away, and
Yes.
he may have departed this physical plane, but his spirit and his presence and his music will live on in my heart forever.
Absolutely.
And every time I walk onto a stage, I think of Johnny, and I at the end of every show I play a few Johnny songs. I'll play Rock and Roll Boo or
beautiful.
Highway 61 or Jumpin' Jack Flash, songs that he songs that he might be playing.
How about I'll Drown in My Tears, the Ray Charles song that you guys did?
Which is that?
I'll Drown in My Tears, you guys.
Drown in My Own Tears, yeah, a great song.
Yeah.
I was thinking about re-recording that song myself.
I love that.
Ray Charles. If I had to name one person that has been the most profound influence for me, it would be Ray.
Wow, I had an interview with Felix Cavallari last week. He said the same thing.
Really? Well, there you go.
There you go. Ray Charles is the man.
As I was saying, I want to thank all the fans. It's meant the world to us to do what we most love, and see you all out there rocking and having a great time. So get ready to rock and roll.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yes. I want to thank you, and I was a huge fan of you and Johnny. You guys were the biggest and the best brother combo there ever was in the history of music, I have to say. And I want to thank you for all the music. Yes, so... And thank you for calling in. Thank you for talking to us. I can't wait to see you. Anyone out there, go see him. He's going to be on tour. It's going to be a great show. So I'll look forward to that. We'll look forward to seeing you.
All right. I enjoyed talking with you and visiting with all of you out there in TV or radio. Don't forget to keep on rocking.
All right. I'll see you July 20th. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Terry for Edgar Winter. Welcome back live from Dennis's house, and that was our interview with Edgar Winter. So he was very charming. We can't wait to go see him. He's on tour now. He's, like I said in the interview, Cheap Trick. He's playing with Todd Rundgren, and we're going to see him. If you're in the New York, New Jersey area, we're going to Red Bank July 20th. Count Basie. And yes, Count Basie Theater in Red Bank, and we're going to take a selfie with him. As we have him on tape saying that.
Yes,
so
he asked us.
He
said,
he just said before the show.
That's part 3 of our summer series, One-on-One with Dennis. Next, I don't even know who's next, but stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of people next. We're on vacation. We're going to be relaxing, enjoying the summer, and doing a lot of good stuff. So see you next time on Live from Dennis's house. Morgillo out.
Awesome, brother.